It's time for Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Kit Kat 1, 2, 3. Yay!
He's the star of Nick's newest Nicktoon. But what is Arnold really like? His friends say,
Arnold, you're bold.
he's bold.
Arnold, you're a pal.
A bold pal.
Arnold! I can't believe how handsome you're getting.
A bold pal who's handsome.
Arnold, what a boob.
A bold pal handsome boob.
And yet, what a dreamboat.
Anyway, see for yourself in 2 weeks on Hey Arnold, when you get more Nick.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hey Arnold episode. Let's get into this one. It's gonna be long. Hey Arnold was the 6th Nicktoon I'll be reviewing for this project. It was created by former Sesame Street animator and my new bestie, Craig Bartlett, and premiered on October 7th, 1996. October 7th also ended up being Arnold's birthday in the show as well. It finished airing on June 8, 2004, airing 100 episodes over 5 seasons. It also produced 2 movies, one of which released theatrically in 2002, and the other premiered on Nickelodeon in 2017, acting as the series finale. Hey Arnold originally started as a 3-part set of claymation shorts on Sesame Street, featuring Arnold spacing out during regular activities, including during church or during a band performance. Most of the staff from Hey Arnold came from other Nicktoons at the time, including creator Craig Bartlett, who came from Rugrats, writers Steve Vixen and Joe and Sola Be Here, also from Rugrats, and storyboard artist Derek Dryman, who came from Rocko's Modern Life. Hey Arnold follows the life of a young, imaginative boy named Arnold Shortman, who lives in the sprawling Hillwood City in Washington with his grandparents in their boarding house. Arnold has a big heart and likes to solve problems for the others in his neighborhood, including causing a riot when the local ice cream man decided to charge $30 for ice cream in a heat wave, tutoring a 13-year-old still in the 4th grade, teaching one of his boarders how to read at the age of 40, and local girl Helga Pataki how to love. He's best friends with Gerald Johansson. His main rival is the mean girl Helga, mentioned before, who pretends to hate him but is in love and obsessed with him in private. We also follow Arnold's wacky grandparents, Phil and Gertie, the boarders of his house, Demolition Man Ernie, Lazy Bum Oscar, and Vietnamese immigrant and part-time country singer Mr. Win. The kids in this class also get a lot of focus, including Child Genius and Helga's best friend Phoebe Heyerdahl, rich and mean girl Rhonda Wellington Lloyd, former one-dimensional bully Harold Berman, farm boy Stinky Peterson, and a little freak named Brainy. Hey Arnold is most known for having many characters, showing many different perspectives in this big city. Hey Arnold is another one of my favorite Nicktoons of all time. I actually first started watching when they released the Jungle movie back in 2017. I watched maybe a couple episodes on the 90s or all that block on Teen Nick as a kid, but the Jungle movie was when I really became a fan. Hey Arnold has a very, in comparison to the first 5 Nicktoons, laid-back and more chilled-out vibe, which I really enjoyed watching in the middle of the zany weirdo shows that Nickelodeon usually makes. The real great point of Hey Arnold to me are the characters and how many different perspectives of life that you get through them. Both kids' stories and adult stories, and even some old people stories are told with equal importance, and you don't get that a lot in most shows, let alone cartoons. Like Rocko's Modern Life, and really like Rugrats before that, all the characters are pretty fleshed out. They'll have their own little backstories and quirks, and almost everyone gets an episode to themselves except Sheena. My favorite character from Hey Arnold would definitely be Helga. The way her story is handled, her having a bully as a father and an alcoholic mother who both only really care about her sister, her being a bully to cover up her insecurities about her awful home life, why she only likes Arnold because he was one of the only people to actually care about her, makes her one of the most complex characters on children's TV in general, not even just from the 90s or even from cartoons. The writers of Hey Arnold weren't afraid to take risks, to explore areas of life for kids that haven't really been touched on since, like having your parent or grandparent be a veteran, having a whole Veterans Day special where Arnold's grandpa beats up Hitler. What show is going to do that nowadays? The tone of the series also lends itself to having more sad and melancholic moments without them feeling unearned or ruined by something funny happening right after. Things are allowed to breathe before going to the next plot point, and not every episode has to end on a high note. And in fact, some of them don't. In particular, In one of my favorite but more controversial episodes, Helga and the Nanny, Helga gets a nanny that actually cares about her, so she decides to frame her for stealing and gets her sent back to her home country of Sweden. This is obviously a bad thing to do, and her nanny eventually leaves, but before she does, she gives Helga this monologue that I think is one of the high points of the show, because it's pretty sad. Basically, she says that Helga would always make herself miserable because that's what she thinks she has to be, that she can't be happy, so she keeps self-sabotaging herself. Despite this, Hey Arnold usually has a pretty optimistic tone. Arnold himself always tries to help anyone he comes across, including animals and empty lots, in the episodes Field Trip and The Vacant Lot. One of my favorite character-focused episodes of the show would be Pigeon Man, Hey Harold, and Phoebe Cheats, all centered around giving other characters a perspective that isn't usually seen. Pigeon Man is focused on the titular Pigeon Man, a lonely old man who takes care of pigeons all around the city, who Arnold comes to when one of his birds is sick. He and Arnold manage to bond throughout the episode, talking about their shared experience of living in the city, and even how Pigeon Man went to the same school as Arnold did when he was a kid. However, Pigeon Man is not a liked figure around town. Kids think he's weird, so some of them, including Harold, who we'll get to later, decide to break into his rooftop and scare his pigeons away. Him and Arnold get back from the rendezvous and find his place destroyed and his pigeons missing. Arnold wants to find the people that did it, but it doesn't matter to Pigeon Man. People have been doing this throughout his entire life. Some people are meant to be with people, and some aren't, and he's one that isn't. So Pigeon Man flies away with his pigeons and starts a new life somewhere else, hopefully far away from people. It's a really beautiful episode, really great character moments between Arnold and the Pigeon Man, even though he wasn't seen before. They managed to have a really nice bond. And Pigeon Man's speech about some people not belonging with other people really relates to me. I feel like I'm one of those people a lot. Hey Harold and Phoebe Cheats both revolve around recurring characters instead of a new one. So to me, they both open new perspectives for the main cast, instead of just being shown through Arnold's eyes. Hey Harold has Harold going to one of Rhonda's parties, the rich girl from before, and finding and befriending a girl who's basically a female him named Patty. He and Patty start bonding and eventually develop a great friendship, which is bad, because he's a boy and she's a girl. He stands up for her though, even though his friends try to bully her, and they manage to keep being friends despite the societal pressure to conform. It's a really sweet episode and a really great spotlight for Harold, who up until the season 1 episode Harold's Bar Mitzvah, which was also a pretty good showcase for him. Phoebe Cheats involves Helga's best friend Phoebe, submitting a plagiarized poem from an obscure book so she can win a poetry contest because she was too stressed to write one by herself. She managed to win with the poem, and she wins a trophy shaped like Emily Dickinson that slowly drives her crazy with guilt until she fesses up to what she did and finally managed to get some sleep at the end of the episode. This one is more like a psychological horror episode for Phoebe, which I really enjoy in TV, as I said before. And it's nice to see a side of her that isn't usually seen. She's usually just Helga's henchwoman or pretty smart and that's it. Seeing her do something naughty, in quotes, makes her just as nuanced as the other characters. One part of Hey Arnold that I also really like are all the weird ghost story episodes. Ones like Four-Eyed Jack, Haunted Train, or Ghost Bride, where it involves urban legends told by the kids, or Arnold's grandpa, and those kids getting into wacky misadventures that relate back to the stories. My favorites of them would probably be Ghost Bride and Headless Cabby, purely because of how dark the stories are in both of them. I find them real standouts amongst the stories of realistic kids and their dramas. Ghost Bride's story involves a woman about to be married who finds her husband sleeping with her sister, so she murders both of them with an axe and then kills herself by jumping out the window, and the kids get stuck in the cemetery where she was buried. And Headless Cabby is headless because he was decapitated in an accident by getting his scarf wrapped around a tree. Both are really dark for a kids show, and really interesting for me to watch as an adult. I also really like the focus on non-traditional families on the show. Arnold's parents are MIA by this point, and lives with his paternal grandparents and the residents of their boarding house. Both Phoebe and Nadine have interracial parents. Patty's parents are both little people and she's regular sized. It's diversity like that that really brings the show to life. The only functional, traditional family out of the main cast are Gerald's parents, with both a mom and a dad and 2 siblings, with Helga's being incredibly dysfunctional and Rhonda's that don't really care about her until they go poor. The way Helga's and Olga's relationship as sisters is explored is also pretty interesting. In Olga Comes Home, Helga's jealous of Olga because she's basically perfect and pretty and popular and is obviously the favorite of her parents, and decides to change one of her grades to a B to see what'll happen. Olga breaks down, and after days of sobbing, Helga finally breaks and tells her that she changed the grades and she's still basically perfect. To which Olga reveals that her parents put so much pressure on her to constantly perform that her life is basically a nightmare too. They're finally able to bond about something. I think they should have kept this dynamic going in later episodes of Hey Arnold. Instead, Olga is kind of just flanderized into being actually perfect instead of desperately trying to be. And I think it hurts the original bond that Helga and Olga had. Another character that eventually became less dynamic over time, instead of more, was Lila, Helga's rival for Arnold's attention. Lila was introduced in Season 2's Miss Perfect, where all the girls hated her because she thought she was trying hard to be nice. So they tormented her until they saw her home life. Poor, living in a rundown house, only had a single father, so they finally accepted her into their group. We never see any of Lila's problems again in the show, and once again she basically becomes a foil for Helga, something who's everything she's not. See Helga's Masquerade in Season 5, where she literally just dresses up as Lila and immediately becomes the eye of Arnold's attention. Lila also gets really annoying over the course of the series, which is worse than Olga's overly perkiness because Lila's in more episodes. I don't think the love triangle stuff they try to do in the middle of the series. I don't like the love triangle stuff they try to do in the middle of the series, especially because all the kids involved are literally 9 years old and shouldn't be worrying about dating. I hate it when kids shows try to do more romancy plots in later seasons. I do not understand them. Nobody as a kid wants to watch that shit, and I don't know why writers keep writing it in, because nobody cares. I also get the criticism of the "she likes you, that's why she's mean to you" stuff from Helga to Arnold, but I think they did a great job showing why she was mean to him, because she cared about him so much and didn't receive real affection from her family to be able to let him know, and because all the other kids would judge her for it. Nowadays, especially with the other way around of boys bullying girls because he likes you, this trope isn't particularly loved. But I think Hey Arnold is one of, if not the only show to make it work, because it actually tried to give Helga a real character. The holiday episodes are also some of the best of the show. Arnold's Christmas, when we find out what happened to Mr. Wynn's daughter, makes me sob literally every time I watch it, which is usually on Christmas, so I'm bawling on Christmas watching this episode. Arnold's Valentine is also really fast-paced and kind of zany in a show that doesn't really get zany in many episodes, and Arnold and Helga finally get to go on a date, even though she's pretending to be his French pen pal. Veterans Day is also one that I especially like. Both of my parents were veterans, much more of my family are also veterans, and this is literally the only Veterans Day special I've ever seen on TV, and I've seen a ton of TV. Once again, Arnold's grandpa punching Hitler is a great moment, but Gerald bonding with his dad after learning how he saved a guy's life during the Vietnam War was really sweet as well. Arnold's Thanksgiving is another great one. Arnold and Helga get to bond over their respective weird families. We get to see Mr. Simmons' own dysfunctional family and slate confirmation that he's gay, and Helga's family actually gives a damn about her for once in their lives. The soundtrack for Hey Arnold is also one of the best of any Nicktoon. It's up there with SpongeBob and Avatar and Invader Zim in my opinion. It's really jazzy, really calming, and really fits the vibe of what the show's going for. One of my favorite actors in literally any cartoon is Francesca Marie Smith as Helga in this show. Her performance, even as a little girl, was absolutely excellent. I start crying at the end of Arnold's Christmas, onto another crying point here, because of the way she says, "Merry Christmas, Arnold," at the end every time. She can be mean, hateful, giving, loud, and even sweet, and she was only like 8 years old when she started recording for it. Helga's crash out at Harold in buses, bikes, and subways is probably the funniest moment of the whole show, and she puts on a great performance in it. Also, she can really scream like a banshee when she has to, and it's really impressive, even as a little girl and even as an adult woman. My favorite Arnold out of all of them was definitely Torrin Caudell, the first one not counting the pilot. He managed to make Arnold seem both friendly and approachable, but also very determined and honestly kind of skeptical. He set the tone for all the other Arnolds, of which there were many, It was also pretty good when he was brought back after puberty as Wolfgang, the mean 5th grade bully. My favorite performance from the adults will probably be from Maurice LaMarche as Helga's dad, Big Bob Pataki, who sounds really crusty and like a giant dickhead, which is great because he is. He also managed to fill in some of Big Bob's little bits of empathy, like when he thinks he killed Helga in Arnold's Halloween, or when his midlife crisis in Big Bob's Crisis turns him into a hippie. The best writer for Hey Arnold would also be Rugrats' best writer, Steve Vixen, who also voiced Lazy Bum Oscar Kokoschka. He also wrote or co-wrote episodes like Arnold's Christmas, Hey Harold, Mr. Wingo's Country, Miss Perfect, and Veterans Day, all of which I talked about before. But since I already mentioned him in the Rugrats episode, I'll talk about my second favorite writer, Antoinette Stella, who also voiced Arnold's mom, also named Stella. She wrote or co-wrote episodes like Phoebe Cheats, Eugene's Pet, Arnold's Halloween, Olga Gets Engaged, and Parents' Day. She also went on after this to write episodes for Law & Order Criminal Intent, which I watched way later in my life, and I'm like, oh my god, she wrote for Hey Arnold, that's crazy. And Craig Bartlett himself also wrote some of the best episodes of the show. He co-wrote Parents' Day, The Journal, Four-Eyed Jack, and one of my favorite episodes, Helga on the Couch. And he flat out wrote Mugged, Buses, Bikes, and Subways, and What's Opera Arnold. The best director of the show would definitely be the late, great Tuck Tucker, who directed some of the best episodes like Downtown is Fruits, the first episode, Road Trip, one of my favorite bonding episodes between Helga and her mom, and the aforementioned Phoebe Cheats. He was a really nice director, and it's sad that he's gone now. And now we're going to talk about my favorite episodes of the show. I promise we're getting done here. We're almost to the end. Season 1, Arnold's Christmas. This is my favorite Christmas special of all time, hands down. It's sad, beautiful, poignant. It's all that despite all the fighting they had to do to get it made. Mr. Wynn's storyline, where he had to give up his daughter for a better life in America instead of the both of them being left behind in Vietnam, was not something that Nickelodeon wanted to have in a Christmas special, obviously. But after much fighting from the episode's writer, Steve Vixen, they were able to air it as is. They just weren't able to explicitly mention the Vietnam War, which was all for nothing since Mr. Wynn had already said he was from Vietnam in a different Season 1 episode, Heat. The moment when he finally gets to see his daughter again after 20 years makes me sob every time I watch it. A lot of the episode makes me cry is what I'm saying. From someone who never really had a dad as a kid, it makes me wish for something that will never happen. There's also a really poignant theme of sacrifice in the episode that I think is really interesting. Mr. Wynn sacrifices his life with his daughter as a child for her to have a better life. Arnold and Gerald sacrificed their Christmas Eve to help that prick Mr. Bailey find Mai. Helga sacrifices her Nancy Spumoni snow boots, the only thing she wanted for Christmas, for Arnold to have a better Christmas. And her mom Miriam literally sacrificed an entire day to get those snow boots for her daughter, one of the only selfless things she does in the entirety of the show. Arnold, Gerald, Helga, and her mom all end up being Christmas angels for Mr. Wynn and his daughter. Things that all become true because of miracles. It's because of good deeds and wanting to help people, to help your friends and family out. It's a really beautiful episode and one of my all-time favorites amongst any cartoon. Any TV show in general, too. Season 2, Arnold's Halloween. Well-paced, pretty funny, and yet pretty scary as well. Everything that a Halloween special should be. This was based on the War of the Worlds controversial radio show that happened in the 30s. And even though it's pretty dated nowadays, it's still pretty interesting to watch. Sorry, a lot more to talk about with Arnold's Christmas, but it's whatever. We're on to Season 3, Olga Gets Engaged. It's one of Olga's last good episodes before getting finally flanderized into a goody two-shoes. I love the part where Helga blackmails Doug into leaving her family alone. She's a ruthless little girl, and I love that. Season 4, Helga on the Couch. A very heavy episode, showing a glimpse into Helga's home life. This episode, I think, has been talked to death by people more eloquent than I'll ever be. So I'll just say this is one of my all-time favorite episodes out of any cartoon. The writers have a real respect for Helga, which I appreciate. I'm glad they're able to tell her story well. I also wish the Teen AIM spin-off, The Patakis, happened, which would have had Helga's therapist in this episode, Dr. Bliss, in a recurring role with her continuing therapy. But that spin-off never happened and probably never will. At least we have this episode. Season 5, we're finally at the last season. It's Married. One of the greatest episodes showing the optimism of the show would be Married, where Arnold and Helga get their fortune told by Rhonda, still get married as adults, and both dream about their lives when that happens. Helga dreams that she becomes president and Arnold becomes the first man, and she has to save him from kidnappers, played by her love rival Lila, while Arnold has a nightmare about becoming her father's beeper slave and having triplets with her that hate him. At the end of his dream, Arnold tells his dream Helga that he knows she doesn't always act like this, that she can be nice and doesn't need the tough front that she puts up, showing deep down Arnold knows that Helga is a good person, she just can't act like it. Eventually, at the end of the episode, Rhonda tells them that she got their fortunes wrong, and both go their separate ways yet again, while the audience gets a flash forward to them as an actual married couple, finally able to be happy as adults. It's really sweet, and it's really nice to see adult Arnold and Helga be able to finally like each other without all the shit both of them had to go through as kids. Some of my other favorite episodes include Das Subway from Season 1, Harold's Kitty from Season 2, School Play from Season 3, The Beeper Queen from Season 4, and Phoebe Breaks a Leg from Season 5. Now it's time for my worst episode of the series. My personal least favorite episode is Season 1's Bio Square. This episode is like someone who never watched Hey Arnold at all, or even read any of the scripts or character descriptions, tried to write a Hey Arnold episode. Helga in this episode is just an asshole, with nothing redeeming about her and doesn't seem to like Arnold in the slightest. Not as a crush, not as a friend, she just hates him flat out. Arnold is a random pushover and doesn't stand up to the girl constantly mocking him in a confined space, the said Bio Square, which I wouldn't personally put up with, but maybe that's just me. The plot itself is pretty stupid, with them both being in the Bio Square and only Helga fucking things up for Arnold. The ending sucks with them playfully fighting in a classroom, whatever. I can't find literally anything good about this episode at all. It's just annoying to watch, and it's basically character assassination to Helga, which is really weird because in production order, it's right after Arnold's Christmas, where she gives up the only thing she wanted for Christmas, given to her by her alcoholic mom, to Arnold. It's just shit. Some of my other least favorite episodes include Curly's Girl, which is too sexually harassment-y for my liking, Student Teacher, which has more Olga being annoying, and Arnold and Lila for starting the stupid love triangle. Overall, Hey Arnold is a show about childhood and the many walks of life that a child can have. I personally didn't grow up in the 90s at all. I wasn't even born in them, but I can still relate to the children of PS 118. I don't live in a big city. I've never been in one for longer than like a day, Chicago or Washington, D.C., but I can still feel and understand their struggles, because despite all the differences I have from the characters to me, I can understand them. They all managed to be very realistic kids, and the show still managed to be entertaining, even really funny, despite also being really down to earth. One of the best cartoons of the 90s, and definitely one of the best slice of life cartoons of all time. It's one of the greats. And now, it's time for me to move on to a definitely less grounded show. It's time for the first Nickelodeon variety cartoon show, Kablam! Coming up next week. See you then.
I wanna be Arnold.
Yes!
Wanna wear my shirt tails down to there. I wanna be Gerald.
Watch me now!
Talking cool, rocking hair. I wanna be Helga.
Out of my way!
One big eyebrow looking good. I wanna hang with Arnold's gang and save the neighborhood.